What is good, everyone? Welcome back to yet another video, another tutorial. We are here again in the office. Today, we are going to be looking at my first ever music video directed, edited by myself and filmed by myself and my friend Ollie. I took on this project about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and to be honest, I was actually very nervous because I'd never filmed a music video before, never edited a music video before, and I was diving into some sort of territory which I was very unfamiliar with. Today in this video, we are going to break down way I feel the music video to give you guys a bit of an insight as to how I edit and how I actually took on this project, which I had no experience with whatsoever. Specifically the shots I chose and why, how I organized them, the camera equipment and the gear that I used, and most importantly, the editing timeline. Before we go any further into this video, before we dive right into Premiere Pro and take a look at the editing process, and for anyone that has already seen this music video, I would skip it on about 3 minutes from now. But if you haven't, I would like to present to you Way I Feel by Spencer Elmer, shot, directed, and edited by myself and Ollie Purcell. So, enjoy.
Remember times when life was much easier. Go to school, eat, nap, then play FIFA. Skip homework, then lie to the teacher. I'm off to the skate park with Samuel and Peter. No stress, no debts, no ex. Not staring in the mirror trying to cover up this mess. More time trying to prestige and sorting out what Beth needs. True. Life is so simple, but likes and retweets have made us so sinful. Download apps to search for other singles. Social profiles, a new way to mingle. It's kinda funny when you think, without a profile, to most you're extinct like a T-Rex, not caring for the pretense or entrance. Instead, let's just be friends and chat about our weekends. Remember times when life was much easier. Go to school, eat, nap, then play FIFA. Let's skip homework and lie to the teacher. I'm back at the skate park with Samuel and Peter. Times have changed, I'm aware of it, but someone find a section that I'm best to fit. Like which table am I best to sit? I'm sat in a dinner hall, a drench in a bag of chips. Imagine if I knew this then. I know that life is pretty easy, but my lifestyle's pain. I'm living off the thoughts that used to eat me up silently. In fact, I'm getting better with this battle from anxiety. I'm calm. When I wait, there's never need for the alarm. Snooze, you lose, but for me it's kinda different. I chose my own path, ignored the criticism. Now the teachers ask for favours, how I get to this position. It's been a long time from sitting in a classroom waiting, wishing for some help when it came to sorting struggles with the system. Education is rigged, so I'ma sit and reminisce on all the things that we did. Back to times when MSN and BBM were the thing, before the timeline and altered all the ways that we think. Let's skip homework and lie to the teacher. I'm back at the skate park with Samuel and Peter.
So there we have it. I hope you guys did like that video. It was a very nice, relaxing, chilled out summer vibe song, I felt. We are now going to jump onto the computer behind me. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but I recently have upgraded from my old laptop to this absolute beast of a PC. My editing is super fast, but we are going to jump into the PC right now and we're going to break down this music video. I'm going to try and break it down to you guys as simple as I can. So I do just want to apologize if sometimes I'm not making any sense into what I'm saying because I've never really filmed a video like this, but I will try my absolute best to make it as clear and simple as I can. So let's jump into the computer. Okay, so jumping now into Premiere Pro. This is the current timeline that I am looking at, and I know this may look very confusing to some of you who aren't familiar with Premiere Pro and what all of this is, but I will explain editing little parts of it during the course of the video, or I'll try my absolute best to. So like I mentioned before, we only had one full day to shoot this entire music video, and Spencer made it very clear to us that he wanted it to be kind of two different moods. The first mood and the vibe that he was going for, he wanted it to be like nice summer vibes, like him skating in his house, chilling with his friends, and then the second part of the song, quite industrial in the city. So those are the two moods that he wanted to put across to us and said, look, this is what I'm looking for. Because we only had one day to shoot this music video, I had to get as much footage as I could in that time frame, which meant I had to shoot about 16 or 17 different takes of Spencer rapping to the song in different environments. And the reason why I wanted to get as many different clips as I could is because when it came to the editing process, I had loads to choose from in case like there are parts from certain takes which I didn't like. I got as much footage as I could so that I could kind of fill in those gaps when it came into the editing process. So that's one thing that I did pick up when it came to editing and filming straight away, is like, right, I'm on a tight schedule. I need to get as much footage as I can because I don't want to be in a position where I'm editing and there's a clip and I don't have kind of like something to go over it if I didn't like the shot, or it was shaky or out of focus. Of course, if you've got a lot more time to shoot and you don't have to rush like I had to do, then obviously circumstances will change. That is my top tip above all when it comes to editing and filming, my experience for the first time. All right, so taking a look at the timeline right here, all of these orange clips, which I'm going to highlight right now, is the main parts of the music video. I've highlighted everything in orange so I know where it all is, and I've put it on the second and third line. And then everything above it, which is either blue, pink, or purple, is a Super 8 film overlay, just to give it that old-fashioned sort of vintage look that you probably would have noticed. And then all the blue parts are sort of vintage, dirt, old film, those kind of dust particles you see over the top of the video. Those are all these blue clips you see right above the orange mixed in with the purple. All of these blue clips right here you see, and the purple clips, are all just overlays and effects that I've put on top of the video to give it that sort of vintage look. And if you do want to download any of these effects, I will put a link down below where you can just download all of these straight to your computer, and then you can put it over your videos if you want to. Then I got the inspiration from the A$AP Rocky Skepta music video, Praise the Lord. I like the vibe of it. I like the way that it was filmed. I like the fact that they incorporated film shots with like crazy camera shots and transitions and everything. So I kind of got a little bit of inspiration from that. Okay, so with all that out of the way, let's jump into the intro. So as you can see, straight off the back, we've got that nice sort of Super 8 old school film overlay. And the text, of course, I was really inspired by the Jaden Smith icon font here. So he's just getting into it, getting vibey. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right here. So these shots of him walking out of his bedroom, walking downstairs, are literally just 3 different camera angles. One of him, I actually filmed that in a mirror, this first shot, him walking out of his room, then a shot of him walking downstairs, just filmed that through the pillars. Again, a lot of these shots I filmed in this music video were all on an 85mm and on a 50mm. So those were like the 2 lenses that I used a majority of the time, because you will notice all of these shots are actually really compressed, and Spencer wanted it to be very cinematic. So I thought those were the 2 lenses I think to go for. So obviously got Spencer walking downstairs, and then the transition going into his office. So this transition was very, very simple. What I did here was I just speeded up this clip of him walking in, and then another clip that I got of him just sitting at his office, at his desk, sitting at his office. That's what I'm doing right now. Sitting at his desk, I literally just speeded up the beginning of that clip. So speeded up the end of one clip, the beginning of another clip. So as you can see, you've got this line that kind of goes up and then down. So that is just called a speed ramp. And what I did was, as I cut to about here, where I got past the door frame, I literally just cut from there to the next clip because the door frame is white, so it made it a lot easier for me, and then just sped up that bit, and then as I kind of revealed the office, I like slowed it back down, and then it came into him at his desk. So yeah, that was a really easy transition. When you go into shoots and have these sort of transitions planned out in your head before it comes to the editing process, it will make life a lot easier for you when it comes to editing to do these transitions, because you thought about it before you actually edited it, if that makes sense.
Remember times when life was much easier. Go to school, eat, nap, then play FIFA. Skip homework.
So again, all of these are just super simple cuts. Nothing too crazy.
No stress.
Okay, so this shot of Spencer on the skateboard. So I was actually sitting in the boot of Ollie's car, driving about 5 miles an hour down this super empty road, which I was actually surprised it was so empty. But this shot, again, I shot on the 50mm 1.4, slowed it down by about 50%, shot it in 1080 120. So a mixture of these clips that you're seeing are a mixture of 1080 120 clips and 4K 24, and I just upscaled the 1080 clips to a 4K timeline. Nice and smooth, didn't do any warp stabilization to it or anything because obviously we had the Ronin. So that was a really nice little slow-mo shot we got there. Okay, so this transition, a lot of people, I think when I first started to kind of get into filmmaking, I always wanted to learn how to do this transition because it's just like a simple mask, especially if you're working with something that is like quite straight, if that makes sense. So that probably doesn't make any sense what I'm saying, but this little pole that I've basically gone past when I'm filming Spencer walking on the gimbal, this pole I just used as a mask for the other clip. So what I did was each frame by frame, as the pole goes further and further to the right, I literally just masked out frame by frame by drawing a square over each frame and just extending that square, because obviously we've got a straight line here. So I've literally got to draw 4 lines every single frame. I think there's about 10-15 frames here, and then that is literally it. And then you just keyframe each one. Obviously if you're working with something a little bit more complicated, like I don't know, if you've got like a car or something, you've got to like draw the outline of a car, but because we're working with a lamppost or a pole, it makes life 10 times easier. When you're working with transitions like that, you want to make sure you're going in the exact same way, so the transition just kind of like merges together and looks completely seamless. So yeah, that was how that transition worked. Each frame I've just extended that mask bit by bit every single time, and then it revealed the clip underneath.
It's kind of funny when you think, without a profile, to most you're extinct like a T-Rex.
Again, if you will notice with these kind of like orange light leaks, when they get to a point where they kind of cover the entire screen, I've put them at points where the camera cuts to different parts of the song, so that it makes it look like the light is sort of leaking through, and then as it gets to a point where it's hitting the lens, the transition comes with it. So as you can see here where the screen goes all white, I made sure that I'd done a cut while that screen is kind of like all whited out, and then it cuts to another scene. So that's how I've kind of used those kind of light leak transitions throughout the whole video, just to give it that sort of, again, old school kind of film overlay. And also I've used it here and there to kind of make transitions and things like that. Again, these are all just simple cuts. Where the kind of beat goes, you got like the drum beats, I've just cut each frame. I think I've done like 3 or 4 frames per clip of like different clips, and then I kind of just merged them all together. So as you can see here, we just got some really simple cuts. Again, Spencer skating in the street, nice slow-mo clips. None of the slow-mo in this video I actually slowed down to 20%. I slowed it down by about half or 40%. I didn't always need to take advantage of that full 120 frames per second, but it's always good to have it just in case. Okay, so second part of the song. If you take a look at some of these settings that I used when I came to grading a lot of these clips at the start of the music video, I actually turned up the temperature by quite a lot because I wanted to keep that nice warm tones in a lot of the clips. And then I turned down the highlights, especially in the shots when he's outside. I really kind of desaturated those highlights and turned down the tint. So I got a bit of detail in the sky, but I didn't want the whole kind of scene to be completely blown out by the harsh sunlight. Those were like kind of like the settings that I played around with, especially like I said, with temperature, highlights, contrast and things like that. Alright, so again, got another one of those cool mask transitions, but this time was a lot quicker, which means it was even easier to do. There was a lot less frames to cut, and also the tree was just a straight line masked out frame by frame, which ended up at this cool car park area. Now, with these shots in Canary Wharf, we had to be really careful because security were literally following us around the whole time, telling us not to record. In the car park, we were fine, but when we were around Canary Wharf, literally they were just getting on our nerves. So yeah, be careful for anyone in London who wants to shoot in Canary Wharf. Security are hot on it. Again, all of these super simple shots. I really like the grading as well on this shot because just the leading lines of the lights as well with the bokeh and things. Again, I shot this with the 85mm. The 85 just brings up such a nice shallow depth of field. Wherever you are, if it's like headlights or street lights, just the bokeh is unreal. Again, all simple cuts. With these shots as well in the car park, I was following Spencer around the car about 3 times. He'd done about 3 or 4 different takes on the song, and I was just following him around the car, and then I just cut in between each take, like I said at the start. So this clip right here was a very tricky clip to grade because I'm going to show you right now what it looks like without a grade on it, which is just mental. If I take that out, I'm going to take the grade away, and it actually looks quite warm, and I took out loads of warmth compared to what I did before. I took out lots of the warmth, made it look really cool. So I turned the temperature down by -29, and then I played around a bit with the hints of the greens. As you can see, there's a slight hint of green and blue in there. Again, this shot, really sick. Filmed it in 1080, but I wasn't really happy with it because it was quite grainy, but I thought it looked really cool because it added to like the dramatic effect and the style of like the VHS sort of old school film effect I was trying to go for throughout this video. Again, that as well, that was a super grainy shot. If I take down this, look, I increased the exposure by almost 50%. If I take that down, it was like such a difficult shot to see without the increase of exposure as well as shadows and stuff. But again, super grainy, but I think it looked really cool. And obviously Spencer getting in the car. These shots here I always filmed with a Ronin. Again, no stabilization or anything, post-production stabilization or warp stabilizer like that. I honestly just used the gimbal. I think it took about 3 or 4 tries to get this shot really smooth. But again, I wanted to get that nice shot coming behind the pillar and then Spencer driving away through the garage doors. And then that is it. That is the final edit. So I hope you guys did like that. Again, the grading on the second part wasn't as hard as the grading on the first part because I wasn't battling sunlight. I was basically in controlled lighting situations, especially in the car park. Once I had the grade already kind of made for this shot, I just copied and pasted it onto all of the other ones in the car park. But again, I really enjoyed shooting in the city. I enjoyed shooting in the city and filming this part more than the first part because I just really like that sort of industrial sort of street vibe. If you guys can remember what I said at the beginning about getting as much footage as you can so you could fill in gaps where things might have been shaky or out of focus and stuff like that, I'm just going to quickly show you an example right here. So if I actually take out these 2 clips, if I just delete them and I carry on, I actually didn't like how it was kind of off-centered here, if that makes sense, because I kind of went around him and the gimbal kind of jolted. So what I did was I just got those 2 clips, which I had in there originally, and just put it over that shot to kind of give it a more cinematic vibe as well as just fit in that gap because I kind of messed up and the gimbal was sort of off-centered and he was a bit too far over to the left, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was just an example of what I meant at the beginning when I say just get as much footage as you can. Not even of like him rapping and stuff, just get as much B-roll as you can so you can just fill in those gaps as you go along. That was the video. I hope you guys did like it. Hopefully this was quite informative and gave a lot of you guys an insight as to my first experience when it came down to editing and shooting a music video for the first time. So those are kind of my tips. I hope you guys did enjoy that. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, rate and subscribe. If you are new, don't forget to submit in your photos for me to edit in the next 2 weeks. I'll put the email address down in the description below so you guys can go over, send me your raw photos. There is 2 more weeks open left for you guys to submit your pictures, and I will see you all very soon in the next one. Take care. Peace.